Relatable with Lucy.
In a 2010 issue of the FBI Law Enforcement Bulletin, Daniel Matos, a law enforcement veteran for more than 30 years, described the psychological impact of police work. I quote, "By the very nature of what we do as police officers, we are unavoidably exposed to a host of toxic elements that can be likened to grains of emotional sand that ever so gradually are placed on our psychological backs. As time goes on, the sand increases in volume. Without the proper tools to remove it, the weight can be unbearable. In fact, in some cases, the sand becomes so heavy that it collapses officers." End of quote. And to provide more perspective on this is Chief Inspector of Police Julius Kangèntu. Julius Kangèntu is also an accredited counselor. He is currently providing psychosocial support to police officers. Welcome, Inspector Julius.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much for giving us another opportunity to talk to you. I know you as a police officer. I know you as a counselor. And I describe your work as humanizing the National Police Service, specifically the Administration Police Service.
Yeah.
And this is as a result of having an interaction with you and experiencing your training sessions both as a participant and as an observer. How did this all start?
Well, I wanted to first of all to appreciate that this opportunity has arisen so that I can be to share about the issue about counseling with me really means and how it began.
Yes, yes.
This is before 2012 when we practically started psychological service, counseling services within the National Police Service. That I just discovered in the course of engagement, because sometimes you realize in the practice, you discover some aspect that you're not aware about. But you find you're developing interest, you are becoming passionate about responding to issues that affect humanity, and more specifically police officers. So this is back in 1994 when I was attached to chaplaincy services, of course, as after completing my recruit course. Slowly by slowly,
from Kangèntu, right?
That is from Administration Police Training College in Makazi. So immediately I was identified among other trainees that I could work under the chaplaincy. The chaplain was working at Madare Chiefs Camp of Administration Police. So that time I worked within that camp. And I worked under him. I helped in organizing and making sure that the chapel is clean and bringing people together, working with the children. And along the way, I found opportunities opening that I could now be able to take care of Kasarani AP lines when the chaplain was not there, Kibera, and also joining others on Fridays at the Security of Government building, the headquarters for Nairobi area, chapel attending. Then this developed slowly. After a few months, I was transferred to Embu, now to take charge over the services. That is the same year, 1994. And
chaplaincy,
to take care of chaplaincy.
Okay.
Of course, at that level. And from then, I realized that I was developing kind of a drive, citing the needs that I was finding affecting, touching on issues affecting police officers. And so this developed slowly. And I just got just an event where one time I felt like I have a duty to reach out to officers. And this one case where I found myself carrying an officer who was a father and who was senior than I was as far as the years of employment was concerned. I met him at a junction where I thought this officer could probably succumb to an accident in case a vehicle came, because he was just laying there after becoming drunk. So from the police station fellowship, I decided to carry this officer to move with him, left him at our canteen in Embu, and then after a short while I remembered I remembered there's somebody I left at near the canteen. So I carried him, on my arms to his house and laid him on his bed. But again, I had some tracts, cucumber tract that I put for him so that he could read. So I met when he went to drink. He had left a piece. He had left a quarter. He had left some meat there, and so I placed the meat on top of the tract, so that when he comes, he could read it, which was written Oboa Utangio, Njia ya Wokovu, Oboa Utangio Kikamba. And because he was a Mukamba, I decided to put it so that he could read it and probably get some message that could maybe convert him. But then I brought him and laid him and then talked to God, verbalized some words. God help this man who is a father and a husband discover himself and change from this behavior that is kind of causing a lot of troubles to his family and likely to cause him lose his job. Then he woke up and urinated in his house, and I was happy that he has now been able to wake up and sit down. So I left him and went.
Wow, that's really interesting, because the behavior, you cited a behavior that is causing him to just be negligent and not be able to attend to his duties. Yeah. But that behavior is informed by something.
Yes.
From what you have said, what experiences in the police, administration police, and the police in general, do you think would inform this kind of behavior? Because given the kind of environment that police officers work in.
One, there are a lot of stresses citing police occupation is one of the most stressful occupations. Secondly, the naturally or culturally, looking at the nature of work, mostly we don't invest. Police in uniform, the men in uniform mostly do not invest a lot in the human who is in the uniform. But mostly we invest a lot in the work. And this leaves this person who is stressed out like a separate entity from the other community. And again, there is little appreciation from the community. So if you are stressed and then you're outside the community, nobody appreciates you. When you are back to the work, we are only concerned with the work, not specifically with the person, with the individual. And so if the person is kind of getting dragged down by issues of finances, issues with the family conflict, maybe workload, a lot of workload, and maybe bureaucracy, maybe you have no opportunity to be listened or probably to share to air your issues, then you are there. And probably some of them now decide to go take 1-2 so that they can be able to numb their emotions or probably to kind of escape realities. And along the way, this becomes a nation and some become addicts, like this officer who happened to be to have fallen in that kind of challenge. Wow. And later, of course, after leaving, I went for an off, and the second day I met that the officer had already been dismissed from the service together with another one and kept in my house, sharing what I had, the little I had, because he had spent his salary to an extent that he could not be able to take care of his family. So I decided, instead of having him get sacked, I took him and stayed with him, feeding him and making sure that he comes from my house, goes to the duty and comes back. That is back in 1997, 1998. Only to go for an off and come back and meet that they went, drank, removed their uniform, went to drink, and then the one who was on duty found there was nobody attending the DC's lesson and the deputy PC's lesson, and they were dismissed. When I came back, I was told that your people have been dismissed. Then I asked, who are these? Are you talking about Mwenda and Zomo? Yes. But I've done my best. Yeah. I've tried to help them. So I think I've done my best. May God help them wherever they have gone. And so they were dismissed from the service. So this told me, kind of informed me, there is something that I don't understand, but I did not get it that time. Until now, later years then, I was transferred to Meru North, where I worked again. I worked in Embu for 5 years. I developed an itinerary to visit these officers now in every division so that I could be able to respond to certain issues that I've discovered over time. So I visited every division at my own cost. And in 1997, I decided, please don't assign me escort duties where we were being paid 75 shillings because I want to have some time to visit officers, to pay my own shillings. I used to pay 20 shillings, other time 10 shillings to visit Runyenjes, to visit divisions at my own cost. So my commander asked me, what do you mean? Allow me not to get the 75 shillings because I have on duty to meet these officers. Where do you get what you use? I use my salary to meet them. And I was kept aside. They decided not to assign me those duties. And from 1997, I never attended escort duties.
That's 1997.
Yes, I never attended escort duties where officers get at least something little.
Is it where your journey in counseling within the police service started, or was it where the time the police, National Police Service started thinking about counseling as an important aspect of police service?
That is where my personal journey started evolving, because in the service, of course, there was not. Chaplaincy is the one that existed, and it was not really appreciated, because at one time I was asked, do you have letters? Do you have a letter that shows that these are the duties you are supposed to offer? And of course I had to say, go, allow me, sir, just go check from my file, because I think there must be a letter that describes what I'm supposed to do here. Because chaplaincy, religion, and police work was not really critical issue then. And therefore counseling was not really appreciated and was not known or did not exist at that time. Professional counseling. Until now, 2012, when the National Police Service, after recommendations by the Ministry of Education that you cannot offer diploma without an established counseling office, and two, you cannot be able to be accredited by the Commission for University Education, by the body that accredited colleges to offer diplomas without a counseling office, and therefore the ministry deployed civilian counselors, where we are now the current counseling and principal counselor and Minister of Education, coming now on board to take care of GSU and administration police training colleges to mainstream counseling service.
I know you worked in, sorry to interrupt, you worked actively in law enforcement before coming to psychosocial part of your work.
Yes.
I'm just wondering, how important was it for you to understand the culture the police works with them? I imagine that they would be more accepting of somebody who understands their culture, understands the way they're working in. How important was that? And do you have any civilian counselors that are working in the department?
I discovered culture was familiarity with the culture was very important. Because when I worked as a police officer, I interacted with police officers. I hit with them, I played with them, I slept, we stayed within the same line. I was able to have a touch on what was happening, and therefore, when issues were arising, I was not a stranger as far as they were concerned. But again, it also, to be able to address them, you needed to really, emerge a person that was able to, that was up to what was required to respond to issues that affected others, and that is one of the critical issues. So this experience gave me an opportunity to be able to develop the passion that I had as far as counseling is concerned into something that became in 2012 when I was identified now to join the civilian counselor to mainstream counseling within the administration police service. But again, how this happened, how I acquired these skills, is that in 2010, I was assigned duties in operation, whereby I had 109 officers under me. And I discovered that these officers, anytime you encounters, these officers had different problems. Citing they were drawn from the different counties for a development course, and then later a case or an operation on Inda Rus in Isiolo, and they were sent there. when they were coming only to complete their course and then go back. So they found themselves in operation, which was supposed to end for 2 weeks, but because of the demands of the operation, it was not possible for them to end it in 2 weeks. And I also joined them, expecting maybe to leave the operation for 2 weeks, but I think we spent 6 months. So there were a lot of issues that, of course, again, psychological, social issues that affected these officers. So and to take them for an outing and to visit each officer, to listen to every officer, to be able to respond to issues that are affecting them, using the skills that I acquired through my lifetime as a chaplain and the experience I had before I joined now the college as a trainer. Now at this time, after the operation, which of course I left because of a problem with my leg, which required some operation, some surgical operation, I decided to go back and do psychological counseling as a postgraduate, to respond to my own needs and to respond to the needs of the officers. Because at one point I'd done a course as an inspectorate course, which I did not get promoted together with others, and I found myself alone, and nobody was concerned. Nobody knew whether I was promoted or I was not promoted. Nobody was in touch, because each person, as far as the culture of police is concerned, mostly you find when you are, we are all the time, you are concerned with the duties, work. When you lose one, probably sometimes it might be difficult to realize, because you're all banded by work to serve the Kenyans. So more often, nobody will be in touch with maybe what is affecting one. Maybe when you realize today some duties were to be attended and so on as not attended. And out of just natural course, you might find yourself alone. And I discovered human beings need to be given attention. So who could give? I thought I'm the person who should give. So I went back to university, to college, and did psychological counseling, higher diploma. But I thought I want to teach, so I went back to Egerton and did a TOT again in psychological counseling. So by the time we received counselors, I was already equipped for this task.
I like your the fact that you didn't just want to do the work, but you understood that passion and skill is important, because you may have passion but you're not able to deliver.
Exactly.
And so you went an extra mile to be able to gain the skill to be able to do that. So combining skill and passion, and that works very well. And I hear you saying that the going beyond the official life of officers is important.
Yeah.
It's not just just looking at their work aspect, but going beyond that is important. And that is why this counseling department is important. And I just wanted to find out how embracive of this the work counseling department have the police officers been? Have they come forth for help, with the setting up of the counseling department?
At first, it was not easy for them to come, because one, counseling, like even in our African settings or in our Kenyan setting, it has not been one of the disciplines that were really given priority. Say for 1998, after the bomb blast, when psychologists started becoming critical disciplines of study and practice. Same case applies to police, but again, with the police, counseling as a soft skill was thought that it will soften the officers, and therefore they will not be hand, they will not be able to dispense their duties as officers who are hand, and of course as expected by the public. And like in administration police, we are oriented to combat kind of engagements, and therefore this was really a challenge. So we had to develop, together with my mentor, that is Salome Gashina, the current principal counselor, Minister of Education, we had to develop strategies of creating awareness within the training college, empowering from the junior to the highest rank, and being quick to attend cases as they arose. And this, of course, again, attending psychological debriefing and organizing psychological debriefing for those officers who are affected, counseling section for those officers who are affected, and sensitization for families and also the officers. Like when we lost the 42 officers in Paraguay, she organized and we were able to attend the families and also to visit on the ground those survivors so that we could give them psychological debriefing. This now introduced a new phenomenon of counseling within the police, and the people started realizing that there is a fallback. When probably we are traumatized, when we are stressed, we can be able to get a place where we can be given a relief, we can be given some counsel. And later when we lost other officers in Capendo and we lost other officers in Tondonyang and other areas like Mandekariza, we were able now to create awareness, and officers were able now to realize we can get help. We developed strategies of meeting the commanders, our own commanders. But again, it was challenging.
Buy-in, right?
It was challenging because at one point you are using your own means. Because I remember when we were doing sensitization, Salome could buy fruits, I could buy maybe some water for the few that we were. After now bring others on board. Sometimes you are taken by a lorry to the mortuary, then you find your way back. You are taken maybe to Kiambu to visit, to attend, to do sensitization. Then a vehicle is required because, of course, again, there are so many security-related issues. Then you are there, you find your way back. But again, nobody remembers that because because of different engagement, and counseling is not really a critical issue. But again, it gives us happiness and satisfaction.
Yes, to be able to do what it is that you think is important for the police force.
Yes, so your interest.
For the police service.
Yeah, you want to keep your interest candle because you want to make people realize what we are here for and what this really means. And I remember one time telling myself, it's me who knows what is it that I'm carrying for you, and not you who knows about it. It's me who knows what I have for all, but probably they don't know. But later, once they get it, they now look for it. Like today, they are calling for counseling. I'm not really looking for people that need attention, or probably we are no longer creating such kind of an awareness like we did it. I mean, with that intensity.
What change do you think has occurred as a result of introduction of the counseling? What do you think has changed?
One thing I want to appreciate the Inspector General of Police, to inspect my able Deputy Inspector General for the support, and the various directors for supporting counseling as one of the critical areas, critical soft skills that assist officers. One of the initiatives that has brought about the great achievement that we are now talking about, one, I could just remember unconsciously and driven by the inner force, by the inner drive, by the inner passion. When I started a journey of making sure that when an officer comes into an office, he sits down so that at least he can relax and be listened and be able to share what could be affecting him or her. And this journey started whenever I came back to my line. When I worked in Meru North, I made sure that I just lift up my hands and greet those that were outside of their houses, because I never used to stay on the line. And when I went to the office, I made sure that I joined my senior, my corporal, who is my senior by then, and the sergeant and the senior sergeant, where they used to sit down. And then when I just requested them, could you allow me sit down? And then they say, have a seat, Kangèntu. Then when I sit down and anybody comes, I request them whether that person can also sit down and probably just to relax so and be able to talk what brings him there or her. And that, and advanced the same to the security, to the one that handled discipline, that is the regimental sergeant major, who within whose office again I requested whenever anybody came, I posted the same request. Could you have him sit down or her sit down so that probably he can relax and just share what brings him here? And then they allowed. And then I engaged also my sub-county commander. This worked for 7 years. I was able to register that it has worked, because when I left Meru North, officers used to come and sit down there and gained confidence with their command at the district level, because this happened. The journey that had started became a success. And my commander never knew until when I told them, because they didn't They organized something for me when I was leaving Meru North. In fact, they gave me transport. The commanders gave me something to carry my luggages, and to travel back to, to travel to my new station. And I told them I want to appreciate you because today officers come and sit down and you're able to interact with the relaxed officers. The same case I did when I came to the training college. It was not easy because that was a new environment where I faced challenges that I never encountered before. The first time when I encountered a question, what are you going to do at home, when I requested for permission? The first time when I was told that the sergeant ni Kitubure hapa, huko district ilikuwa ni Kitu, but here ni Kitubure, and I appreciate it, sir. Thank you, because I've never known this, and that I've known I'll behave accordingly. And I remember another time that I was told that kazi yako hapa ni kuhakikisha hii compound ya church inang'ara kila mahali. Kazi yako ni fatigue. And I told my senior pastor, thank you, sir. I appreciate. Now that I've known, I'll make sure that the place is clean. And in fact, I made it because I made sure that the compound is clean. And I told him one day, in 18th of April 2008, I reiterated that I pray that God keeps me to see young men celebrate weddings here in this compound, which within which we are the snakes threatening the security of children and even androids. And indeed, somebody celebrated a wedding in 2014, and I was on assignment. I came back to the college to see the wedding happen, and then went back. I didn't take food, I didn't even take time, but I just came to see a wedding celebrated.
Oh, that's definitely a tangible, and observable change. Yes. that occurred. And, out of the drive and the passion that you had for the work that you're doing right now. Thank you so much for watching. Please stay tuned for part 2 of this episode. Thank you so much for subscribing, for liking, for sharing, and for the comments that you have continued to share. Please keep them coming. If you have not subscribed, please do so and turn on the notification button as well. Bye-bye.